Hello, how are you today? My name is Samuel Evander, and I'm so much humbled to be speaking to you today. So today I want to speak about the different strategies you need to deploy when you're invited for an interview. Now, I know most times we apply for the jobs, we get an opportunity to be shortlisted. The time for the interview comes, we go for the interviews, and we come out crying, saying we wish we did certain things, not knowing that there are things that you can be able to do in case you knew them that will help you land your dream job and be hired, so that you don't just be ending on interviews. Because imagine you've taken a lot of time in applying for this job, you've gotten all that it takes, the basic requirements that they have shortlisted you, and they have given you a chance to express yourself. Why then you misuse it? Why not utilize it? I want to tell you that myself, for most of my jobs that have gone for interviews, 90% of those jobs I've actually gotten the offers. And why? Because there are certain things that I do that I want to share with you in this video. Now, the first thing you need to understand is that whenever you're invited for an interview, the interviewer or the recruiters are going to evaluate to see the things you presented in your CV and cover letter, and then also your academic documents. Do they depict you when they meet you physically? Is that you? Can you be able to tell your story from your academic documents? And that is why some of the common questions they will ask you are questions like, tell us about yourself. From there, they want to say, tell us what you included in your CV, what you included in your cover letter that makes you a best fit for this job. So you need to understand what are some of the likely questions that they can ask me. And some of these likely questions, sometimes we have those common questions like, tell us about yourself, why do you think you're the best candidate for this job, aspects to do with how much do you expect us to pay you, why are you leaving your previous company. They are generic questions that you should really know before you go for an interview. Why? Because you don't want to be caught off guard. These are things that you can easily be able to know even before you enter an interview room. But before we look at the interview room, let's look at the other aspects that seem not to matter much, but they are very important. If you have an interview set tomorrow, one of the things you need to understand is your presentation. Just before you even utter out your words, how you present yourself either creates an opportunity for you, or it can create a bad impression before the other people who are going to interview you. So it's very good to know that your physical appearance, how in terms of, I'm not speaking about either you're short or tall, but your dress code, what you're going to dress for that interview matters. Dress something that is you're free with. Don't dress something that you've not put on maybe in the last 2 years or last 1 year. Make sure that you're putting on something that that you're comfortable in, but also is professional, something that is in line with your career. If you're an accountant like myself, you want to be able to be dressed in that official shirt, put on that tie in case you have one. If you're a gentleman, if you're a lady, dress smartly and let it depict you. There's some colors that you don't want to dress up in on times of your interviews. Look for colors, professional colors that you can easily dress up in and get yourself there. Of course, the other aspect that you also need to look at is aspect of uh, even as you look at your dress code, you need to go through the job description. When you're there, you're still at your home in your residence. Go through the job description just to ensure that every line on the job description you understand, because the person who is going to interview you is actually going to look at each of the line on the job description to ensure that you actually your best match. So some of the questions might actually come from there. So do a revision, go through those terms. You can even Google some of those things to ensure that you're ready. In case they are complicated things, make sure that you can easily be able to find somebody maybe to support you. Are we together? And from there, because you know some of the likely questions that might come, generic, but also you can be able to get some of the questions from the job description. Then you know that you can be able to even do mock interviews. try to create yourself into a scenario of an interview, or it could be a friend who is watching to see how you're responding, or you have a coach. By the way, I do coaching for people who are going to have interviews. But what I'm saying here is that try to practice some of the response to the questions. For example, if you're going for an interview, one of the questions you should really practice about is the question of tell us about yourself. So you need to be able to understand for this job, I would be able to say my name. I'll be able to speak about my maybe education background and experience. And this is how I want to craft them in a way that they match the job description. And I, of course, just like a CV, every response of tell us about yourself varies based on the job that you're going for. So that is very important in that area. But as the day comes in, you need to look at other strategies of aspects of getting there early, at least 30 minutes. Ensure that you know the location. If you don't know the location, do set off at least to ensure you have maybe about an hour to figure out, because imagine getting to a place you don't know where you're going to have the interview from, and you're taking a lot of time. You're late. I want to tell you that if you're late, it will already be on pressure, and that will affect you. So ensure that you get there early. When you are now already there, of course, you meet other people who have come for the interview. Show some interpersonal skills. You don't know who is watching. You don't know some of those guys with cameras that are watching. Show some people are watching how your attitude is. Some of them will even delay to call you for the interview, to call you in the room for the interviews, and see how are you able to manage your emotions. All that they're trying to study you. But even when you enter the interview room, you need to understand some aspects that show you as a professional person. As you enter, are you able to knock? Are you able to greet people? Are you able to just sit off, wait for them to tell you that it's time now, you can please have a seat, or you even request that, may I have a seat here? And so on. All those aspects, and also aspects to do with keeping eye contact when you're in the interview room, and being able to be honest to some questions that you may not be aware about. It's not just you have to have answers for every question, but being able to understand that for some questions you need to be honest with yourself and say, honestly, I may not be aware of this kind of maybe skill. I'm not do not have this skill, but I'm open to learning. I'm a very fast learner, and if I'm given a chance in this organization, I can be able to learn. Now, all those things seem to be because sometimes they actually know, because they have looked at your CV, they know what some of your capabilities are. So when they ask you, you don't have to fake it. Sometimes you have to be honest. And I believe that if I'm a recruiter and I've been able to sit on some of the panels, I want to recruit a honest person than a person who is going to lie to me that they know well they don't know. Okay, so understand how you respond to questions, how you manage your non-verbal in terms of how your sitting posture, how you keep eye contact, keep a smile even in times of where sometimes some interviewers want to frustrate you, but you have to ensure that you are a bit calm. Sometimes they can even ask you, can we give you some water, please? If the water is there, take it. Make sure you even have a meal even before you get to the interview. A light meal, something that is convenient for you, something that can make you comfortable. At the end of the day, in the interview room, you want to avoid things like stage fright. You want to show some confidence. You want to ensure that you're giving your best, because this is an opportunity to get yourself into the company. You don't just want it to just go. Okay. One of the mistakes that sometimes people make is when they ask, do you have any questions for us? And they say no. Why? Why would you say no to such an opportunity to ask you questions? There are certain key questions that you ask when you are at that level. And it could be as simple questions like, what is my career like in such an organization? And some of you want to ask questions like, what is my salary? How much will I earn? Now, sometimes the interviewers don't want to hear such questions at that level, because all that will come in. The negotiation step will come in. Why are you asking about your salary? Use that opportunity to showcase your best. Sometimes even those questions that you ask at the end of the interviews could bring an opportunity for you to shine. because sometimes you may ask a questions about the company that depicts that you've done your research. Maybe they have launched a new product, they have, let's say, maybe started a new project, and you're asking about those things, or they have expanded to a new market. If you ask questions around that area, they'll say, "Oh, you recently expanded to South Sudan, and one of your key products is A, B, C, and D." Maybe from the perspective of how your strategy has worked in Uganda, how do you rate this product amongst competitors in this area? Like somebody sees that you've taken your time to understand their business, and even the questions you're asking are questions that depict that interest into the job. So all those, there are many strategies that you can depict, that you can look out for. But one of the opportunities I'm giving you is that whenever you have an interview, and if you failed several interviews previously and you don't know what is exactly is happening, or where could you could be having the challenge, I want you to invite you for my coaching sessions. If you have been invited for an interview, I want you to say, "Samuel, I want you to coach me for this interview. This time I just don't want it to go out of my hand, but I want to be able to build my confidence. I want you to be able to ask me some of the questions you think they can ask me, and see how I respond to them. And maybe from there, you can easily guide and provide me with certain strategies of how I can bring this home." Because at the end of the day, job search is not an easy task. And if you're given a chance to be shortlisted, that should be your opportunity. You should run for it and ensure that it is within your hands. And I want to tell you that you can really, really get there and get that job. So I just felt I should share with you some of these strategies. I hope they are helpful. If there is any strategy that you has worked for you, please include it in the comment section. If this is your first time to watch my YouTube channel, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel to be notified when I post videos around this area. If you want to join or be part of any of my coaching sessions, you can be able to just contact me. I'll be able to leave a contact within the description. Let's see how we can help each other find our next big job. So thank you so much, and I wish you all the best in your job search strategy, and make sure that for your next job you do it much better. So thank you so much, and God bless you. Bye bye.